Okay, now that I've shown you how to approach drawing a bow, I will show you how I am coloring my bow. And this is going to relate a lot to the color temperature and complementary color practice that we did last week. So I am doing a bow that has an orange color to it. And so I'm going to be referencing these two here while I color this. First of all, this is the complementary color of orange, which is blue. Blue is a very good color to use for a shadow when you're coloring something orange. So you will see on some of my loops of my bow here and where I have dark shadows, I've actually used blue in there. Now also with orange, I'm using the warm and cool temperatures of it. The warmer version of orange is red orange, and the cooler version is yellow orange. And so these two are going to help me with creating highlights and shadows. So I'm actually going to use the yellow orange for my highlights because it's a little bit brighter and lighter, and the red orange for some of my shadows. So basically the colors I've been using on this are orange, blue, yellow, and red. Oops, they're all rolling away. And I've used a little bit of purple too, just because I like the look of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new loop on this bow just to show you how I would color this. So first of all, I'm going to start with yellow. Yellow is the lightest of all the colors that I'm doing, and so it works perfectly as a highlight. When you are coloring the loops of the bow, these cone shapes, you want to do your coloring in a straight line direction. And that line is going to come out from the point here. So I'm going to start by doing my highlight, and that's going to be at the top or the highest point of this loop. So that's where I'm going to put my yellow. Now I know that red, again, red-orange is going to be the darker version of this. And so I am going to use my red towards the edges of my bow here, because that will be where the shadow is. I'm coloring this with medium pressure. I don't want to push hard yet because I'm going to blend this with my orange. I'm also going to put some blue down to make the shadow even deeper at the edge. Again, blue is the complementary color of orange, and so it's a really good shadowy color. Notice I haven't even put any orange on this yet, but I will here in just a sec. I'm going to color that blue up to the yellow here. Now I can start layering some of my orange on top. Since this is supposed to be an orange bow. And I'm going to use medium pressure to layer this color on top and to blend in with the colors I already put on there. And you don't want to press too hard. You don't want to get lines in here. You want it to blend nicely. And then what I do is I go back and I do the same step again. I'm going to go over my yellow a little bit more. Add some more red towards the edges. Add some blue. That gives it some nice shadowiness. And then go back over with my orange again. Now this loop of the bow has an underneath part, and this is going to be all shadow under here. So again, I'm going to use my blue, the complementary of the orange, to create these dark sections that are underneath the bow here. So color those in with blue first. I'm also going to add a little bit of violet to it because it's also a nice dark color that I can use for shadows. And then I will blend this all together with the orange. So that helps to give depth to your bow and make it look more 3D. You really want your shadows to go as dark as they possibly can. So again, I'm going to layer this again and press a little bit harder the second time until I get that color as deep as I want it to be for shadows. Now, if you're doing a different color bow, I'll demonstrate one other. So I have one drawn here. Let's say you want to do a green bow. And so we're going to use the same principles of these color temperatures with a green bow. So first of all, with the color temperature of green, yellow is going to be a great highlight color because it's the warmer version of green. And blue is going to be a great shadow color because it's the cooler version of green. And then up here with the complementary colors, red is the opposite of green. So I'm also going to use red for shadows on this. So let me show you how that looks. So again, I'm going to pick one of these loops to try first. And I'm going to start with my yellow because that is the lighter or warmer version of green. Let's do this one here. Again, start with a highlight that comes out from the point. Always put your lightest color down first. Okay, and then I know that blue is the cooler version of green. So I would put some blue here towards the edge. This will create a nice shadow on this and make it look 3D. And then I will go over this with my green, since it's supposed to be a green bow, and sort of blend this all in together. You could also use some white in the highlight if you want to, if you don't want to do the yellow. So I want to get a medium pressure layer of this green on. And then I'm going to go back and do these colors again. So again, a little bit more with the yellow, just to make that highlight stand out. A little bit more with the blue. And then blend it all together with the green. This is going to start looking more three-dimensional at this point. Now the other thing I want to do to deepen this shadow, again, I want to look at the complementary color of green, which is red. And I can use some red now on the very outside edge of this shadow. Believe it or not, that is going to make it feel even darker and create a neutral shadow color. Okay, and then I will blend it again with my green, pushing a little bit harder this time. Until I get the color that I want it to be. I always encourage you to Layer your colors several times until they get very vibrant. You don't want pale color. It doesn't give you as much depth as if when you push really hard. Now I'm going to give a little shadow underneath this. And again, I'm using red because it is the complementary color of green. And it is going to create a very good shadow when I mix it together with green. So now I'm layering that green on top of the red. The shadow is going to look a lot more natural than if you were to put a black shadow underneath. So there you go. There is what you could do if you're doing a green bow. Now, matter what color bow you're doing, you can use these formulas to help you with your lights and shadows. So even if you did a violet bow, you can use red, violet, and blue violet to make lighter and darker. And you can also use yellow and violet mixed together to create your shadows. So reference this chart that we did last week so that you can utilize this when you're choosing the colors for your highlights and shadows. This is going to give a much more realistic effect than if you just use black and white.